Welcome to Varsity Nutrition. I'm Derek Marks, and in today's episode we're going to cover Diet Analysis 201, which is building upon Diet Analysis 101. So be sure to watch that one first if you haven't already. In today's episode, we're going to look at tracking your food intake. So we're going to get into Cronometer and look at how to enter specific foods and recipes, maybe search for brands of foods or even restaurant recipes as well. We'll talk just a little bit about units of measure just to make sure you know how to best enter foods to be as accurate as possible with your dietary analysis. And we'll also take a peek at tracking your exercise, looking at intensity and duration options there. Let's get to it. All right, we are at Cronometer now on your dashboard. When you want to get to entering foods on Cronometer, you can go a couple different ways. I do like to open the left menu bar and click on Diary, and this gives you the whole menu of options in terms of things to track. On the Diary page, you'll notice I've already entered some foods in for today, just to give us a head start. But on the top tab here, we have foods to enter, exercise, biometrics. We're not going to talk about biometrics today, but this does offer a host of sort of other variables that you can add to your diary to track over time. Things like body fat, things like circumferences of certain muscles if you're trying to gain muscle, even lab work. All sorts of different biometrics are possible to add through Cronometer, which is quite nice. But we're going to talk about food first. So when you are ready to enter your foods, firstly, I recommend throughout the day, if it's a day that you're going to track, write things down, store it on whatever mobile device you have. Like, don't try and recall at the end of the day everything that you've consumed. That's quite difficult, especially when it comes to remembering the specific volumes and measures of those foods. So the ideal way to track your diet is start the day by tracking as you go. For breakfast, this is what I had, etc., etc. So when you get to the end of the day, or when you get to either your mobile app or your computer to enter the data into Cronometer, you're not having to recall everything from way early in the morning. When you're ready to start entering foods, you will click on the Food tab. Pretty intuitive, right? And what it does is it brings up a search engine to search for whatever food you would like to pick. And on this has, it keeps a record of your most recently entered foods, I believe. So your most commonly used foods will always pop up, which is kind of convenient. Most of us are creatures of habit. And every time we go in here, we don't want to have to research for things. It's like, yeah, there's scrambled eggs, there's a cheddar cheese. So you can use that in terms of making your experience on Cronometer a little more efficient. So when you're ready to enter a food, and let's just say, for example, I want to enter a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Peanut butter jelly. And so I just searched peanut butter jelly sandwich came up. That looks perfect. I had a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I will click on this. When you click on what you think is your match, Cronometer will give you some of the data associated with that on the bottom here. So it gives you protein, net carbs, fat, total calories on the left here. And then on the right, it gives you options for serving size and units. I want to point out a few things here that are really important. Firstly, this is a peanut butter jelly sandwich that we have no idea what it looks like. I don't know what this peanut butter sandwich used for the type of peanut butter, type of jelly, type of bread, size of bread. Like, I really have no idea, and nor should you, right? This is just sort of their magic peanut butter jelly sandwich in their database. It's okay to use this, but I highly recommend putting in the peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you ate, or in this case that I ate. So I would search for the specific bread that I had. Let's say it was Ora wheat, whole wheat bread. Boom, I had 2 slices of that. I had 1 tablespoon of whatever, some sort of peanut butter, another tablespoon of some sort of jelly. Really customize it by putting the recipe together on Cronometer instead of letting Cronometer do it for you. The goal here is to minimize error. And again, it's really easy and convenient to just select the peanut butter jelly sandwich or whatever recipe is in there that you want to pick that Cronometer has for you, but you don't know exactly what that is. And at the end of the day, that may skew your intake, and we don't know in which direction, either too much energy, too little, too many carbs, too few. And so really piece together and search for foods based on the recipe that you created. If we decide to select this peanut butter jelly sandwich, we go down here in serving size. So right now you'll see that 1 is selected, and then we have options for 1 sandwich. We can use units in ounces, and we can use units in grams. For different foods, there's going to be different units as an option. In the case of a sandwich, it makes sense. Yeah, a whole sandwich. We don't weigh our sandwiches typically, but okay. How many ounces of a sandwich should we have, or how many grams? We don't typically use those units, but Cronometer will give you options that make sense. When we get to cheese, it'll give you options for how many slices of cheese. That's kind of a more common metric there for cheese. So select the right unit and select the right number of those units. So in this case, we'll just go with 1 peanut butter jelly sandwich. Why not? I'm going to add it to the diary. I don't know exactly what the peanut butter sandwich was made of, but we're going to go with it. So this screen here is all of the foods that I've entered for the day. You'll see my peanut butter jelly sandwich is at the bottom here. Other things to consider if you eat at campus dining, like quite often campus dining providers will have their foods in the database. I know that Sodexo is a pretty common food service provider for colleges and high schools. Sodexo has a lot of recipes or Cronometer has a lot of Sodexo recipes on its database. So if you had, a tuna salad protein cup at your college or at your high school, wherever you're at, this is the recipe for what you consumed. And because it's institutional dining, the recipe will match. And so, we can select that and be confident, okay, I probably had more than 1 gram of it. So always double check the units. Don't just select it and hit go. It's like, oh, well, I had 1 cup. I had a 5-ounce protein cup. That's what I would select. Brand names are also in there, let me go to restaurants first. So restaurants, you can search for restaurants as well. And so I just typed in Chipotle. A lot of people like to eat at Chipotle, right? So many recipes from Chipotle are on this database. And so if you had the, Chipotle sofritas, tofu sofritas, you can add that onto your daily intake, right? And so you can piece together Chipotle meals. Multitude of restaurants are in the database. Again, always be mindful of checking the serving size, checking the units. For those of you that cook for yourselves, because if it's not of restaurant food or campus dining food, reminders, like familiarize yourself with different sizes. This is 1 cup. I don't know. Looks like a cup to me. So this is 1 cup, not about. This is 1 cup. This is a tablespoon, right? So basically size of a soup spoon generally. Yeah, that's a tablespoon. This is a liter. So, depending, that's typically for fluid volume, but still. So familiarize yourself with different volumes, different units. So when you get to Cronometer, you know how to enter in things in most appropriately. I mentioned brand names as well. I even mentioned like Oro wheat, right? So if I went for Oro wheat, and let's say my peanut butter sandwich actually had Oro wheat bread, like it will have a database of Oro wheat branded types of breads. So be as specific as you can. Don't just put in wheat bread, put in Oro wheat if that's what you had, or whatever brand it is. I'm not promoting them in any way. So being as diligent as you can with what you ate, exactly what you ate, the recipes, and how much makes the Cronometer that much more accurate and makes your dietary analysis that much more accurate. One other note on foods before we get to exercise. So if you click on the food tab on the left here, you'll notice it brings up some options: custom meals, custom recipes, custom foods. If you're starting to use Cronometer quite a bit and you find that, hey, every morning I have an omelet with certain things in this omelet specific, and I kind of do the exact same thing every day, it's not in Cronometer, you can enter in that custom meal and name it whatever you want. Hey, it's Derek's omelet, right? And that way you don't have to hand enter, piece by piece, enter that recipe in every time you go to Cronometer. It's a pretty useful tool if you use Cronometer a lot. Generally speaking, not super essential, but depending on your motivation and how much you want to, use Cronometer, that might be not a bad option to follow. So one other thing to talk about here is your exercise diary. So Entering foods, we got it, right? Exercise, well, the same thing. So depending on how you set Cronometer up, especially on your profile and targets, on your profile, if you selected, low to moderate daily activity, that means you want to be adding in your daily training, right? And so you can search for all sorts of sports, right? And again, like with the food, it keeps some of the most recent searches up here, I believe. So if you're a soccer player and let's say you had a soccer game today, 90 minutes, you played the full 90, you could put in soccer hard. And so hard is in reference to the intensity. And so be honest with the intensity. If you had, let's say, a 2-hour training session and it was kind of intermittent, there's a couple minutes here of hard, a couple minutes of low, a couple minutes of moderate, like you have a mix, like don't put in, it was, whatever, a 2-hour hard session. It was probably on average medium. So try and be honest with your estimate of the intensity from low, moderate to hard, because that will give a better estimate of caloric expenditure. So again, like with food, you can type in exercises and it'll bring up all sorts of options. You'll notice here on the output, I entered that soccer and it gave us an extra 1,125 calories, which in Diet Analysis 301, the next episode, we'll talk about how to look at that data. That's all I have for today. See you next time.